This is a thing that I found in the alleyway near where I work. I was confused about it, but it had a couple of neat parts on it I wanted to grab, and I've later found out what it is. First off, this rather neat electric motor. This is a coin counter. And I found these nearby. So that one says P, this one says N, and both of them just kind of hang off of here. There's no stoppers on the bottom of this, though I guess you could put coin tubes in there, and that's because this is a coin counter. It's manufactured by, that's either KLOPP Engineering, I'm being nice here, or KLOPP Engineering, from Michigan. Speed and accuracy, this thing touts. And there's this extra badge here from where it came from and was sold. E.A. Horton Sales, 299 Bering Avenue West, Toronto 18, Ontario. And I gotta go double check on this. Is that a phone number? BE13307. That there just dates how old this thing is. It is an absolutely ancient coin counter. And the fun thing, this manufacturer still exists. This coin counter, it's at least 50 years old, at least 60 years old actually. Still looks the exact same. We are missing a tray that fits up here that you can just kind of dump your coins into. So you have your motor here, and you have this spinning disc. And between the two, there's a belt behind this cover. And in here comes to this pulley, nylon pickup wheel, nylon gearing, great, and it just rotates that disc on the top. And there's this other mechanism that's hiding over here. We'll get to that. So this spins, and the coins get caught up on this little catch here, and it goes into this thing. I'll have to take this cover off and figure out what's in there. And I see this thing here, there's a thing here, something's going on, and I have this lever down here, and this rather beautiful mechanical counter, which you can reset with a tiny little hand crank. But set coin size on arrow, and this is really hard to do with one hand. And you'll notice as I change it, so pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters, it changes the size of this chute here. And there's a rubber wheel that's on an idler underneath. Let me poke at this a bit more. Let me get this cover off. Okay, so that just comes out with 2 screws, and as it turns out, this is actually a lot more involved in here than I thought it was. So when you're turning this, you can see that bar moves, but the height of this roller here is supposed to be rubber, and it's actually quite stiff. That changes in height, but also this lip, like this ring here, also changes in height when you change the denomination, because it's trying to make it so that coins are being brought into here and ordered in a straight line, because it has the star wheel here. Now the star wheel comes up, and it comes to this gear here, and it comes over to our counter. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get the idea. It's basically going to feed coins through and count them as fast as it mechanically can. So I'm going to reset that. And that comes to this dial right here, which isn't setting like the denomination size, it's setting the count quantity. If I have it on C, I can spin the star wheel all day long and it'll just keep counting up. But I've noticed, first off, like the button, it's a button, but it's almost fully pushed in when it's in the C. I'll push it down, move it to 20, and there's mechanically more going on in here. It's also a bit sticky. But now, if I turn the wheel, so let's make 20 turns. 1, 2, Do you hear that click? So if I turn it one more time, we're at 20, and now I can't advance the star wheel any further because now it's been locked. So that's cuts me off at 20 coins. It counts 20 coins, so I can either push this in to reset it, or I can pull up on this little lever down here, which does the same thing, and it resets this. So and there was another 20 there. So it's a coin, like I guess it'll only take one denomination at a time. It won't sort multiple sizes and denominations of coins. It arranges them, it counts them, and if you want to, for whatever reason, limit how many coins you're going to be feeding out of here at a time, you can use this, or you put it in C to bypass. Now, I've been playing with this a little bit here, and before, like, I was getting, like, I do a count of 20, and I would get a count of, like, 13 or 18. The mechanism is gumming up in this, and that mechanism is just this right here. As we can kind of see, the whole thing is in really poor shape. This is actually the ground wire, and even the ground wire on this side's not doing all that hot. So the whole thing is in really gross, really dirty, really greasy and gummy condition. So this is probably why someone threw it out, though it is still a very neat coin counter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the makerspace. I'm going to take it apart a little bit. I'm going to clean it, grease it, and let's see if it behaves a bit better. I kind of want to see if I can get this surface rust out of here, if I can. So this came apart pretty trouble-free. Lots of screws, but I only had 2, which were giving me a little bit of grief, and it wasn't even because they were rusty, they'd just been in there for so long. But everything came out. It is greasy, it is dirty. This put up the biggest fight because, where is it? So there's your gear. It's interesting. There is plastic / nylon in here. So this has either been previously rebuilt or this is a little bit newer than I'm used to. But it's actually held in with a pin. So I had to figure out how to drive that pin out. And then this too is also held in with, flip this over, set of pins in here. And I think once I figured out how you could just kind of flex this and then pull it out, that worked. And the only thing I can't get out is this knob here, because it too is set in there with a pin and not like a nice little grub screw. So as a result, the mechanism I was talking about before that's counting the coins, I can't take that out. So I'll have to leave that in there when I clean it. But now I have a better idea how this works. So let's put this into a position. So right now we're on continuous. I'm going to set this over to 20. And you can see there, all it's doing is it's moving this bar over, and behind that you have 2 gears that rotate at slightly different speeds. And those gears, let's see if I can get to a point where I can see it. There we go. So each gear has windows punched in certain spots, and what's happening is that this just drags along the gear and then you heard there it clicked, and that's because it fell into a window. Pulls it up, but now it's locked in place, won't operate it, and then when you push this down again or you pull on this to reset it, all it's doing is it's just lifting it up and it places it down again on the other side of the hole. It's kind of ingenious. Okay, now I get to clean this. I got complaints last time around when I was cleaning the slot machine that I really shouldn't be putting metallic greasy parts into the dishwasher we use to cook food. And you know what? That's understandable. So we have this spot here in our lower area which used to have a urinal, and I've just placed a junky dishwasher in there. And we now have a parts washer. So while that's washing, I'm here hand cleaning the electric motor because that's crazy to put that into the dishwasher. It is not sealed bearings, so it does need oil in them. It's quite noise-free, actually. 3-piece, 4-piece casting. The whole base comes off of this thing. But it's a really nice motor, gotta say. It's made by Bodine or Bodine Electric, Chicago. And it's just a little 1/20th horsepower. And what's kind of cool is that if I go over here, they're still around. And they refer to their time, World War II and post-World War II, and take a look at that. Doesn't that look familiar? So, gives you an idea there, at least when they started to market them, which would be the 1940s, 1950s. And I mentioned before, like, this whole coin counter thing was available even today. Well, here you go. Since 1931, Model CE electric coin counter wrapper bagger. And there it is. Still available. Now, mind you, the prices are a little nutty, but it is a really well-built piece of equipment. And look, there's even a Canadian version with configurations for that. This is not bad. And yeah, they do have a couple of videos here. And just kind of show them how you load the machine up, which is interesting. So I guess you can use both bags, and you can also use the counter to load your rolls of coins. So that explains more why the counter is in there. I'm gonna finish cleaning this up. Oh, by the way, I did haphazardly wire it, and if I turn it on, it's a nice little quiet motor. Anyways, I'm gonna unplug you, and I'll finish cleaning this, and then I'll wait for the rest of the parts to come out of the cleaner. Alright, everything's out of the wash now. And last the screws here are drying, and now's a great time to talk about flash rusting. Now, you're going to find this whenever you take something out of a parts washer that's not painted or pre-treated, and that is quite simply because, remember, this was all dirty and quite oily and greasy when we put it in there. That film was protecting this from rusting. And what we did is that we washed that off and then rapidly dried it off, and most metals will almost immediately begin to rust. So that's what you're seeing on here, but it's very, like, it's basically a powder. I'm gonna rub this off because I have to go through all this anyways again, just to wipe it down and get rid of any extra dirty scuzzies that the washer didn't get off of it. So one, any rust that I have on here I'm going to rub off anyways, and two, because I'm immediately going to oil this again and lubricate this, we're not going to deal with that rust causing bigger problems. But keep that in mind whenever you use a parts washer. I was fully aware this was going to happen, and just simply because there's so much of this that has to get lubricated again anyways, all I was doing was baselining. This will be not a problem at all. If you get one this far apart, I want you to go and make sure the little pin there is pushed out. Use a screwdriver to push it out. There's one on the other side as well. There you go. And the idea here is that this shroud has a hole on either side, and when it's all assembled, those pins are pushed in, and that holds the shroud in place. It's a pain to get that off because you can't get to the pins from the inside because the disc is in the way. But once you have that out, however you manage to do that, I didn't make a video of that, make sure you push at least one of these pins out. And it's going to leave you with a little dimple, and there's my dimple right there. And then just when I'm done, I'll put the shroud back on, and I'll just hammer that down, and it'll stay in place. So check out, like, this thing has no bearings. We've already confirmed there's no bearings in this thing. It's just these castings, which are really nicely done. And yet, now that it's oiled and greased, with no motor attached, like, this thing spins beautifully. But the other thing is also, there's kind of a sequence that you have to apply here, otherwise you'll mess up. So, when you put this gear back in, I have to push the pin back in as well. Now, it still allows you to move this, which is what you want. Now, likewise, we still have that pin pushed out here. We have this now in place. There's a screw here that's used to adjust its height. I haven't fully adjusted that yet. We also have to remember this has to go on. And then, finally, after that goes on, we take our shroud, and this side should... This is not a one-person job. You lift this up enough to let this side, there we go, fall in to where the pin is supposed to... The pin is not in. Anyways, so you put this on its side, you lift this up a little bit, you work this side in with its pin in place, then you can drop the other side in, push that pin in, and you're pretty much committed at this point, because to get this back out again is a complete pain. Because to get this shaft out means taking this off, which means push pins. It's a little bit of a nightmare. It's like there's a bunch of compound steps that you have to do here to get this thing both apart and back together. Okay, so it's gone completely back together with only 6 screws left over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I do have all the screws. I have changed the power cable to something less scary. I've redone the wiring so it's a bit less scary. I've redone the ground, and if I turn on the switch, sounds great. So I have it right now set for 25s. I'll throw 4 quarters in. Those went through. Okay, why is it hung up here? Oh, hey, okay. So that was 4 quarters. 8. 12, 16, and we're on 20 right now, so that was 20 coins through, so it shouldn't accept any more, and it isn't. And if I push this, that'll reset it, and it should spit out the 4 coins. And there we go. Okay, I'll just put the counter back on. Alright, so we are plugged in, we are all cleaned up. I think I'm ready to test some nickels. I'm already on that. Okay, put a box over here because I got nothing else to store it on for the moment. There we go. And let's grab some nickels. Oh. Okay, cool. Another handful in there. Okay. Cool. Alright, let's just dump more coins in there. Just by the handful. That works really well. Alternate angle here. The remainder of this video is probably going to be me just putting money into this thing. This is kind of cool. Hello? Oh, because the box is in the way. I see. What's going on here? There we go. So we want 25. Almost enough. Oh, because I'm leaning on the box there, the button doesn't work. Huh. Okay, we get the idea. Neat. Alright, well, I guess that was a pretty easy cleanup and fix. I don't know exactly what I'm going to use it for besides counting coins and slot machines. But, yeah, that is the, what does this call itself actually? Model number DE by KLOPP Engineering. Old-fashioned coin counter. Not a sorter, just a counter.